breaking down a little bit of the MLB slate. We're probably just going to run a quick one here. It's a small slate, and we're only going for about a half hour. So when you get in, pop in some questions, say what's up, let us know what you're doing. I'm going to give you guys a little rundown of what I'm doing, which is not all that different than what I said I was going to be doing earlier. But I have made a couple little changes. I'm very concerned on this pitching thing. We've got all these question marks pitchers. We've got Bundy, who's usually a starter, but's been coming out of the pen, and he might not pitch at all. So we may not. I have him in a couple smaller, large field stuff, but just not really using him much. Casey Mize, huge question marks, but obviously some upside. Going to have some ownership, so I'm not really going to go there. But the question marks are just so big. Like, I mean, are they really keeping him to this 4-inning limit? I know he pitched 4 2/3 last time, which was a little bit surprising. He did throw 89 pitches, so that kind of makes me want some of them. However, I don't think I'm going to end up getting there. I am going to play a couple of lineups with Mr. Wells for Baltimore. It's not the most exciting thing in the world, but it's a way to get a little bit different. And the guy threw 90-plus pitches his last time out. He's pitching against Detroit. Take a shot there. I know people love the Detroit stack, but I'm definitely getting to a little bit of that. Mostly, though, it's Montas, Peralta, and Musgrove for me on DK. I have Peralta as my only pitcher on FanDuel, so I have him a little bit less on DK. But I still love him on DK as well. I don't know how to get around these guys with all the other question marks on the slate, even though I could see that being a way to get different. One thing that's interesting is playing Toronto is going to be lower owned than people think, especially on DraftKings. So I'm definitely going to be doing some of that. And Kevin, yeah, definitely have some concerns about weather. I'm going to get off the air and probably have to do a weather rundown, but it's basically it's Pittsburgh, it's Detroit, and it's Boston, and they're all could have pop-ups. I think that the games all play, but I can't say for sure. It's really tough. I'm going to listen to Ross Weather Report at 6:30 Eastern because that's. I mean, I literally don't know what else to do with the weather situations. I'll check out some radar stuff myself and read my other guys' stuff. But right now, I just have those as iffy. But I'm pretending they're as if they're playing. It looks like DFS. We got our man here, Rody, saying that Bundy may have been traded. I don't have that. I don't have that here. So I'm a little bit. I need to see that. Very little interest, Carnes, in Ryu. It's a tough situation. They have an extreme hitters umpire. I know some people are going to play Ryu, and some more people are going to play Rodriguez. And I just can't get there against these offenses that just crush lefties. I understand it. It's not, you're not getting all that different. If you're going to talk about 5%, maybe it'd be different enough. I would lean Ryu for what it's worth over Rodriguez, but with Alfonso Marquez behind the plate, I'm leaning on the bats in that game. And I think Toronto is a way to get a little bit different. I also think some of these cheap bats on Pittsburgh against Peralta, who everyone's going to play, are an interesting way to go. Defoe, I expect to have some ownership at the minimum cost, but I don't really have anybody else except for maybe Castro with some ownership. And I have some Ben Gamel in my lineups. I also have an Oakland stack or two, but I'm still focused. Majority is try to get the Padres in with the lower ownership side, try to play a low owned piece of that, and then try to surround it with Blue Jays. That's really my goal. And then on FanDuel, I actually am playing just straight Blue Jays and just getting a little bit of San Diego. It's really hard to get both of them and pay up at pitching, obviously. So that's what I'm doing. Duffy's coming to the Dodgers. Yep. Where did the Bundy stuff come from? Can anybody say anything about Bundy being traded? Like, I have no information on that at all. So I really want to clarify because that's a big thing that we don't want to start spiraling out. I have not seen one word about Bundy being traded, but maybe it's happened in the last 5 minutes. If it hasn't happened in the last 5 minutes, I can pretty confidently say that he has not been traded. What's up, WW Fresh? Good to have you back. Brooklyn Juice, however we want to refer to you here. But yeah, that's pretty much where it's at for me. Toronto, San Diego with some Milwaukee and a little bit. I do have one Detroit stack. I understand they're going to be popular, so I'm trying not to get as heavy on that, even though I like the spot for them and Baltimore. I like a little mini Baltimore stack. DJ Stewart went from being unowned to now he's going to be popular, so that's a little unfortunate, but shouldn't be too popular because there is their value. Love Mullins. Unfortunately, he's a little bit expensive on DK. Will be really popular on FanDuel at 3,100. Austin Hayes at the top of the order, at 3K, I think is interesting. And you've got the cheap, whether you want to play Leyba or Wins at the bottom to round it out, and then or Franco and Mancini. I'm okay with all of it. I just don't really want to prioritize. Mize is pretty good, keeps the ball on the ground. Bad bullpen for Detroit, so you can try and attack that. But I am not quite as high on Detroit as the field is, and I am higher on Toronto by a long shot than the field is. And I really feel like that's going to work out for me more times than over the course of a season, more times than anyone else tonight. I also think Boston, outside of JD's my favorite one-off, but Bogaerts, who's really struggling, by the way. I actually prefer Renfroe if I was going to take one or the two of them, but the problem is Renfroe's an outfielder, and we have all the other cheap outfielders. He's cheap too. But I don't really want to – I'm not fully stacking Boston, but I definitely have some two-men. Some Bogaerts, some Renfroe, and some of Mr. JD Martinez. And if you're going to make it a four-man, I would encourage you to play Verdugo at low ownership. Career good against lefties. I know he struggled this year, but I'm not worried about that. The Oakland stack is pricey, so I don't know if everybody who talks about them up all day – I don't know how they're going to exactly do it. If they want to, I guess they don't want to play the Blue Jays and Padres. But that's what I want. I'd rather play the Blue Jays and Padres. I do like the Oakland stack. I have one of them, but more it's a 2 or a 3-man. Matt Olson should get some ownership. Oddly, Matt Olson should end up being more owned than Vlad Guerrero here, and I would rather play Vlad personally. I know Vlad's hit more home runs and all that stuff against right-handed pitching, but he crushes left. I mean, he's fine. And then you've got a bunch of guys who are probably going to be in the 10 to 15% range with Murphy and Chapman, et cetera. We still don't have a lineup. We may not before lock, but that's what I'm doing. So drop some questions in, guys. You have sort of a good outline of what I'm doing. It's not a whole lot different than what I was doing earlier. Sheets should be updated. He's not going to make the show, but he should be updated. Jay's priorities: Vlad, Springer, Hernandez, Semien, then Bichette. That's my priorities because I prefer Tatis at short, and I like Adames a little bit at short as well. So that's the way I would prefer it to go. I also have a little bit of Ryan McMahon as a one-off at third base, where I am not playing Joe Musgrove. I really am nervous about the Musgrove thing a little bit, but we don't have a whole lot of options here. So prefer Montas and Peralta, but definitely I'm getting some Musgrove in there. And then spending all the way up, and then getting, I have Gamel in my highest buy-in lineup right now, which feels weird, but with the leverage against Peralta that no one's going to play him and he's 2K, I'm willing to take a shot there. I do think if people play anybody, it's going to be Defoe. So I have a little more Gamel than Defoe. Also, Tyrone Taylor, really cheap for Milwaukee, should have some ownership as well. And yeah, that's pretty much how I'm doing it. I am doing a lot more prioritizing certain hitters today. I really like Grossman for Detroit. I really like all the Toronto guys I mentioned. JD, priority play for me. That's Tatis, Machado, huge priorities. And then I'll mix in some Cronenworths. I'll mix in some of the lower end parts. Myers will be on big time on FanDuel, but not on DraftKings. So you can go there. That's basically what I'm doing. So guys, get some questions in, or otherwise I'm going to get out of here in just a bit. And this is going to be it's a short one. I know we told you these days are, on these little slates, we tend to like to do the short ones. Also, when I'm doing them solo, we just tend to go up to 6:30 Eastern time. Rody, if you're still out there, can you confirm that you just got Bundy's name wrong or something? Because I don't see anything about that, and I would love to get clarification. Because I have Bundy as starting tonight, and that's something that actually makes a big difference on this slate. So I would love to get some confirmation on that. Boy, it's gonna kill me if Bundy goes out there and crushes like he does sometimes. Because I don't know. Yeah, it's Duffy. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Thanks, Rody. And anybody else with any thoughts of what you're doing to get off the board or ways to get different? Let me know. Happy to entertain any ideas, because I just feel excited that that we're going to get lower ownership on the Blue Jays on DraftKings, and I think that's what I'm going to end up doing personally. So that's where I'm at. Gotcha, man. Gotcha. Someone else said Bundy apparently and meant Duffy. But otherwise, guys, it's pretty straightforward tonight. Not a huge slate. Don't risk your whole thing. I'm not. I mean, to worry about Peralta having a short stint is not a real worry to me. I didn't see that game and what happened exactly in the White Sox game. I don't know what happened there. I would love to actually look a little bit further into that. I do think it's worth looking into, but in general, within this matchup, it's just not something I can be overly concerned about. But it is kind of weird. So for any of you guys out there, we got the Milwaukee fans. Adam's out there. What happened to Peralta in that start against Chicago? I missed that start, so I'm not really sure what happened there. But either way, I'm still starting Peralta on FanDuel in my main lineups, and that's pretty much where I'm at. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, I think there's something. I think there's definitely a reason to worry about weather. I'm going to let the weather decisions come in the next for me after I get off the show. I can't judge 3 games that look very similar, but none of them look bad enough not to play to me. The Brewers resting their rotation. That seems like a really weird spot to rest the rotation, but that's an interesting take. I mean, like, maybe that is something to dig a little further into. We have huge question marks with everybody, but that is a real issue. It doesn't make sense actually at all that they would be resting their starters. I mean, every other start they've got to let the guys go, haven't they? Yeah, I don't see any other ones like that. It's almost like I would have thought he would hurt something. It doesn't really make sense in that kind of a game. So maybe they can't have a big enough lead on the division to end the whole season yet. Also, you still, they make money from home playoff games, so you want home field advantage as long as possible. No, I have a little bit of Wells JJJ. I don't think it's too cute. I just think it's not going to be in my highest buy-in lineups, but I definitely have interest there, and I'm definitely going to have some of that. Wow, my phone is just blowing up with basketball stuff, which I'll get to after the show, I guess. Priority 3-mans for DK besides Blue Jay. Well, I told you I'd stack fully, but I would also play 3-mans of San Diego. It's no different. It's always the same answer for me, pretty much. San Diego, Toronto, Milwaukee, then Detroit. That's the way I've got it, and Boston would be right in there as well. But again, there is some worry about that weather, and I'm definitely going to focus on that after I get off the show. And with the weather, though, also comes potentially lower ownership on these small slates, and what was already not going to be as owned as I thought it should have been. So I am going to take advantage of any angle I can get on trying to get ownership discounted on this slate. I think maybe a mini Pittsburgh, if you're not going to play Peralta, is a good way to go. I wouldn't get heck crazy with it. Brewers' excellent bullpen, but you have the cheap guys. I mean, you have Defoe and Gamble. You could play at 4K. You play one at third base, play one in the outfield. That could come through, and that's something that worth considering for sure. That's the only other thing I would do that's a little bit different there. But Padres are still, I believe, the best offense. I know they'll be popular, but I think that you want to get in some Toronto and some Milwaukee with maybe a little bit of Pittsburgh where you're not using Peralta, and maybe some A's. But A's I more just have as a they're further down the line for me. The weather updates in Discord. I can post you. I can tweet you. you can look at Kevin. Go to Kevin Roth's Twitter. That would be what I'd suggest, Jamie. I'm happy to do it, but I would just be copying and pasting. I'm going to trust Roth because he's been good to me, and I feel like I have a good read on him. I will post what I think and what I'm going to do in Discord, but I don't know if I'll actually get to. I don't have like a weather update. I'm not a weatherman, so I will post updates of whatever I hear, but I don't have. I'm not a weatherman. You know what I mean? So I don't want to outdo somebody else, but I think just follow Kevin Roth on Twitter, and that's what that's what I'm going to allow make my final decision. And as of right now, it doesn't look like I have a new update from him. Let me see real quick if there's anything. Let's see Roth, and then I'm going to look at one other guy who I follow as well, but he's more just a casual follow. Here's my thoughts, Boston. Watch the tarp. They're about to break out into some clearing. If they pull the tarp and start warming up, likes their chances. So we have to really worry about the tarp over there. And that's something you could, I'll try to post what I've got in there, but at the same time, we got to remember I got some lineups too to go through, and I'm not a weatherman, so it's going to be a little bit hard for me to do an exact weather report. Otherwise, hope everybody's doing good. It's a small slate. Again, don't get crazy with it. I'm going to try and take advantage if I think there's a chance. Like, let's say if I think there's a 70% chance that game plays 75%, and that other people are coming off of it and they weren't really that on it in the first place. I would get those guys together. I would make sure to, in those situations, I would make sure to get. I would want to have at least 4 players from the game if I'm going to play it, because if there's any concern at all, it's just you hate to get killed like that. And you've got a great lineup, but you've got these 2 guys who are in that game. That's not the way I think you want to go. So that's just the way I would do it. If there's no other questions, I'm going to get out of here, guys. Really appreciate y'all. Had some good calls today with people who are going to be implementing the optimizer. So that's going to be exciting. And we're going to have a little bit of a site redo. We've got a new guy working with us who worked for one of the other top sites. It's not official yet, so I'm not going to say anything, but it's going to help make the site a lot easier to use, a lot more simplified, and make it so we can get our projections combined in with your preferred choice other site, whether that be RotoGrinders, whether that be SaberSim, etc. Anyway, guys, really appreciate everybody. Please like before you get out of here. And again, I'll stay in for one more minute and see if there's any questions. If not, good luck to everyone tonight and go crush it. So the San Diego lineup just came out. Nola's batting 7th. Grisham's batting 8th. There's an interesting long shot way of getting different with the Padres stack. Hosmer's in there. No Adam Frazier today. Okay, that's interesting. They just traded for him. I know it's a lefty, but still, I would have thought that he would be in there. I guess that brings up, like, maybe there's some pinch hit risk for either Nola. I guess that would be it. I guess he'd probably pinch hit for Musgrove. Yeah, I don't think there's too much pinch hit risk, but it is something. Anyway, guys, let me know. Sorry, got some things. Top 3 Toronto bats are Vlad, Hernandez, and Vlad, Springer, and probably Semien because of the position. But then I like Hernandez as well. Those are my guys. All right, everybody. Good luck to you out there, and I hope you guys crush it tonight. I got to edit some lineups with San Diego's lineup just coming out a little different than I thought it would. Good luck, everybody.